Well, Baz, we're back, of course, the Sporting Spotlight, brought to us by Air Diffusion Australia, the best air conditioning company in Australia and one of the biggest and still growing. We thought we'd diversify a little bit, but we'd still stick with the sporting legends on this particular occasion. So I'll just give you a brief rundown, otherwise it'll take a half hour to get through his career.
It would, I know. I had a look at it this morning.
And we toss that word around carelessly sometimes, legend. So in my eyes, there's two legends of the Adelaide 36ers. There's Mark Davis and Brett Maher, without doubt. The rest, we'll put them in a category, but we're just calling them the legends.
You?
No.
Can I put you in there?
You can, but I can't put myself
I'll put you in there.
All right, I appreciate that.
No worries.
I'll just give you a brief rundown on his career. 526 games with the Adelaide 36ers, the only club he played for in 18 seasons.
A rarity.
To go along with that, he captained the team to 3 championships.
He did. Yep.
97, 98 and 2002. So, or it depends how you look at it. It could be 98, 99, 2002. 3 Olympic Games, 96, 2000, 2004. So pretty good. One World Cup.
Yep.
And loyalty is a thing of the past. I think we have to accept that sports moved away from that.
Yeah.
And he may be at some stage left in the dinosaur to stay at one club. And he had plenty of offers to leave, by the way.
Well,
it wasn't like
I was going to touch on
he
that.
just decided to stay. And you can ask him that.
Well,
but
it's a rarity.
You'd think he's done enough in his career. He'd sit back, put the feet up. But he decided to write a book. He wrote a book. So we're going to talk about his book in a minute. I didn't know that he had that skill. The Adventures of Jack Gibson by the great Brett Maher. Marzi, thanks for your time.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Good to see you,
Thanks for having
mate.
me. Yeah.
Good to see you.
Now, it's difficult to know where to start, mate, because we've glossed over an amazing career, and we'll come back to your career, but we want to talk about the book, The Adventures of Jack Gibson by Brett Maher. I didn't know you were an author, mate.
No, neither did I.
Okay, so the book's no good.
No, hopefully it is. It gets well received. During COVID, I penned the stories and in the hope that my daughter would do the pictures, as she's a very good concept artist, and she turned me down. So I had to get the great Naeem Ziyech to do the pictures, and he's done an amazing job. So it's kind of, it's for young adults, 6 to 14, and it's a fiction book. So it's kind of, I describe it as Stargate versus Indiana Jones, like that sort of thing, that sort of character, and travelling through portals and having adventures. And it's a good, I used to make these stories up for the kids before bed, and so they used to love them.
Oh, they obviously slept well. They're going through portals,
used
mate,
to rile
with
them up
demons
on
and
Well, one of them didn't because she refused to do the art. She probably drove her mad with your stories. How difficult, mate? And when I first heard about the book, I thought, well, this would be some short story, a young kid, basketball, all that sort of thing. But it's not. This is something entirely different.
Yeah, full-on adventure. And I wouldn't say I'm the best writer. I'm not the next J.K. Rowling by any means. But I like creating the storyline, and I've got a lot to draw on with. I love the Marvel and the comics. And the adventure movies, Indiana Jones, etc. So I just draw on, give me inspiration from those. And then I used to like reading as a kid and reading to get to the next picture. So that's why we made a lot of good pictures in there. So kids, every kind of second, third page is a really good picture to kind of get to as well.
Good one. I saw a quick glance through it. Some of your inspiration, the Addams Family. Yeah, that's winding the clock back a bit, mate.
Yeah, it's really diverse. I've kind of pulled on all different bits, and even the storyline's diverse. He kind of goes up against ogres. He goes through a TV show, intergalactic TV show, and it all kind of comes together at the end. It's kind of got underlying themes of perseverance, coming through under pressure, and friendship. So yeah, it's been quite good.
Mate, I'm interested in this as a sports person. You know the commitment it took to play at the level that you played at, and it happens over a long period of time. But people come and watch, they go, "Gee, this game looks easy." You know, if you go and play tennis, think, "Oh, tennis is pretty easy," until you put the net there and the lines, then it becomes a bit more complicated. Right. Did you have any idea? Because you said you touched on it. You used to read a lot, and you said, did you think, "Oh, I'll do a book; it won't be too hard," and then suddenly go, "What was I thinking?"
Yeah, it's a lot of work, and that's I say I started in COVID, but it's probably been 10, 15 years in the works.
Wow.
And then just to get it down and then go, am I actually going to go through with this and get it to the next stage? Because there's not a cheap process either to get a book made. So it was really good. I had some good people kind of edit it for me as well and give me some tips on my writing, which was good. Boddy Nodge, who we both know and has written his whole life, he looked at it for me. I had a lovely lady that lives overseas that does it for a living. She kind of gave me some really good advice, and then my publisher kind of looked through it. So I've had heaps of tips in there to get it right, and I think it has come together quite well.
But you need it. You need all those people. You can't just off the back write a book anyway. And
Exactly.
You need people to have a look at it critically and whatever. So good on you, mate.
So your tip is now don't write a book.
Yeah.
Well, if you got time, it's time consuming. It's won an award, so that's all right. It won the Golden Wizard Book Prize award for this year, so it's got off to a good start, and we'll just see how it goes. It should be out ready for Christmas, so early December we should have them ready.
Is that a Pulitzer? Is that the
Similar to the Academy.
Yeah,
similar?
might just miss out on that, but we'll see how we go.
Will you do another one? Can you see yourself committing to another one?
I've already kind of three-quarter written book 2.
Okay.
It's I've plotted out 4 books as part of the series, but my wife has said if this one doesn't break even, then we're not going through with book 2. So I'm hoping the sales go all right, because I've 2/3 written, 3/4 written book 2, and I've actually got my daughter to agree to do the pictures for book 2.
Yeah.
So there's a big incentive, hopefully, that we can get there.
Or you threaten her, she's out of the will. If you don't,
Or out of the house.
one of the two for sure. So you got another one in the wings. Where did the name come from? Gibson, you know what I first thought, as soon as I saw it, and I thought basketball. Gibbo used to play with in town and with the Sixers and whatever.
Adam Gibson.
And it just sort of, I thought, this is definitely about basketball. Is it a name that just...
It just kind of popped into my head. I did do a little bit of research. I got online to see if someone else had used that character name before. And it hadn't been used, because there's so many different ones that are out there. But so it was a free and available. I like the ring to it, and it's been good.
Good on you, mate.
So, mate, if you look at the cover, you've got the Jack Gibson, obviously there, and then the loyal dog, mate. Does the dog have a name?
Well, he does, but he doesn't really play that much of a role, Rusty, in the book. So
you put a lot of thought into the dog's name, Rusty.
It's more.
Could have been Fido.
There's a few other characters that there's a griffin in the book that I really liked, and I just like the look of the griffins as well. He's probably the next main character.
Okay.
Hey, mate, we'll talk a bit about your career, obviously, while you're here. Gives us an opportunity. I was thinking, what am I going to ask Marzi when we turn up today? What that you haven't already discussed? And often when I talk to people about you, they go, he's just a great guy and what a great player, and gee, he did it easy. I was thinking coming in here, I don't reckon a lot of people realised early in your career that you did an ACL at your time at the Institute. So it wasn't, most journeys with most athletes have somewhere where they get tested to push on through. Can you take us back to that time at the Institute where things weren't it's all sweet and it's roses? There was a difficult period you had to get through to get to that.
Yeah, it was. It was the first game of a 3-game road trip in Melbourne, and I went up for a jump shot, and just before I landed, a guy's knee collected with mine and just snapped the ACL. So I had the full reconstruction. Being in Melbourne, I was lucky because David Young was, I think, the best surgeon in Australia at the time. So I got in with him really quickly. He fixed it up, and that was in the preparation for the World Junior Championship. So I had to kind of rush back and went from the starting 5. Lachlan Armfield, who we both know reasonably well, he jumped into the starting role as the point guard, and I kind of went to the bench. And at the same time, I was getting recruited by Arizona to go over and play under Lute Olson at Arizona. And then I went over and played at the World Junior Championships and played a minor role because I was coming back off of that. And they said, look, we can probably find someone as good as you in the States, which was fair enough. They ended up getting 4 guys that went in the NBA. So I was like, if I went there, could that have happened?
Missed it by that much.
So it's just sliding door moments. But it is. That was really tough and probably played a psychological part in my whole career, really. Whenever I went up for a jump shot, someone was around the legs, you kind of, it's in the back of your mind.
It would be.
And a lot of the times I just kind of let myself fall to the ground. most people think you're playing for a foul or something, but I just didn't want to have them taken out again.
Wow, that's interesting, isn't it? With a knee, I mean, a lot of players would go through exactly the same thing. They say that when you come back from a knee, that first collision or that first
it's traumatic.
contact
I don't think people
is
realise.
absolutely traumatic.
I don't think people realise how traumatic it is.
Yeah.
You're talking about potentially a career-ending injury, aren't you?
Exactly.
You know, you touched
No,
on
I
it.
thought my career was over at 16.
Yeah.
So I was pretty lucky. And when I did it, they took me off the court. I couldn't walk. They said, "Is there a doctor here to look at it?" And no, there was a vet there. So this vet comes and looks at my knee, and he's just moved around. He's going, "No, you're perfectly good.
Yeah,
You'll be
terrific.
right."
Yeah.
The next day, I'm in having surgery.
Playing
for
the second
ACL.
half.
Yeah, so don't go to a vet if you want the right
Lucky
diagnosis.
he wasn't the horse doctor.
Right.
No,
That's what I'm
put him
saying.
down.
Yeah.
From then, though, you know, obviously a career blossomed through a lot of hard work to get back and re-establish yourself. Is there a moment where you could look back and go, yeah, that was the moment where I got over the trauma? You know, a year in the rehab, a year in the rebuild. Then you touched on it. You know, there's a period, I imagine, having not done ACL, where I'm concerned about that for another 18 months or 2 years, and then finally things start to go, I've moved past that now. Can you? Is there a moment?
You know, I think I got back on court, which for back then was pretty good, like 12 months to the day. And I think the Institute was the perfect. I stayed an extra year because of my knee, and that was the perfect place to be because they had physios on hand. Great Craig Purdom. So I had the best in physical rehabilitation there as well. The weights was excellent. Julian Jones was running the weights and got my vertical up as high as it's ever been. So probably during the end of that third year that I was at the Institute, I started feeling fantastic and I was jumping as good or better than ever.
And I touched on it in the telling everyone how good you were, but 18 years to stay with one club. And I know there were times where there were some big money offers. New Zealand came hard at you at one stage. Was there ever a moment where you thought, I'm going?
Not really. That New Zealand offer was the biggest one that I got and the most tempting. And I ended up with my agent, we ended up having a crisis meeting because the Sixers were kind of nowhere near it at that point in time. And we had to say, Paul Bauer was the general manager at the time. We just had to go to him and say, look, you're not in the ball. You have to get at least in the ballpark. I'm willing to stay, but like it's chalk and cheese at the moment. And so they got just
Close.
in the playing field. But it was, at that stage, I knew it was only going to be a couple of years, and I was like, well, might as well finish off that last couple of years here.
It's a rare thing for a player in today's sport, like you touched on earlier, to stay 17 seasons with one club. I mean, loyalty is, I don't know. I think it's still there, Phil. You said
Some
it's
players
probably
still
gone. I think it's still there amongst a certain few, but to stay 17, especially with offers coming from, from other people and whatever.
I think what Marzi touched on is most relevant is that there's a loyalty to a point.
Yeah.
And as long as you can get close. So you're picking a number. If it's 200,000 less than what you're getting offered, loyalty might go to 40,000, but it doesn't go to 200,000.
Yeah. No, that's true.
And I just listening to you, Brian Ferrari, I remember this scenario with New Zealand making this big offer, and I was in the States, we were looking at the import when I get this phone call from Paul Bauer going, oh, mate, looks like Marzi's going to New Zealand, which was then met with deathly silence. You know, I won't tell you the exact words, but you can't be serious. And then, so, okay, leave it with me. So I'm making phone calls. The guy who drove it to make sure it didn't happen was Brian Ferrari, who was on the board. I remember ringing Fraz saying, mate, we need to make something happen here. And he said, okay, I'm on it. And he was the main driver to try and at least close the gap. Whereas I think at that stage they'd pretty much conceded Paul and some others going, well, there's not much more we can do.
Yeah, well, Fraz is a great man. Great club man. And we had some really good people like him on the board. And I think the one other thing that is changed between when I was playing and now is that it's so much easier to go to Europe now. It's a lot easier to get in the NBA now. So the NBA wasn't really a big option for me, whereas Europe was an outside option. I went and played in Turkey for that one season, but now it's so easy to get over and play there. So that may have changed things in today's climate, but back then.
Yeah, I reckon it's a really valid point. And Australians are hot at the moment in the NBA, but we weren't looked at that time. But again, your career has passed mine by a couple of decades. You go, I grew up wanting to play for Australia. I never wanted to play in the NBA because we didn't have any knowledge. We didn't have SPN, didn't have Fox Sports. So was yours, do you think, a little bit, it'd be nice to go to the NBA, but if I don't make it, Europe's pretty good. If that doesn't happen, I'm kind of set where I am, because didn't have that hunger to get to the NBA. Was there a little bit of that in it?
A little bit. I grew up the same as you, wanting to play for Australia as well. So I was still on that sort of thought process. But even like the guys, the only way to get through as an Australian was to play major minutes at international competitions, which I wasn't really. Guys like Shane Heal and Andrew Gaze were, and even those guys barely had stints in the NBA. You look at Andrew, who's qualified as potentially the best ever, or certainly in some realms, and he was only in there for not very long at all. So that's how hard it was. And the Europeans, some of the Europeans that didn't play in the NBA or didn't get in till right at the end of their career, like that list is even crazier. So and that's completely changed now. Like you have one good game in the NBL and they're talking about you being in the NBA the next year. So it gets me a bit mad now how it's kind of swung completely.
The other thing with the loyalty is that wives don't really care much about loyalty when it's about 200,000.
And you got to keep them happy.
Oh, you got to keep them very happy. That's what I'm saying. If you went home and said, "Look, New Zealand have offered me a couple 100,000 more than what I'm getting now, but I'm a loyal bloke," you'd also be a divorced bloke. She would walk out.
So you'd lose half anyway.
That's right. That's what you
would
would
be the
think.
turning point now.
But they are also, we joke about them, but they're also
That's an influence, no question.
Well,
Huge influence.
great supporters.
Yeah.
You know, without the woman in your life or whatever, you probably wouldn't get to where you got anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And New Zealand did a really good job in their offer. It wasn't just a financial offer. They thought outside the box, and they were like, we had young Indy at the time, I think, and they said, we'll get you a nanny 3 days a week to come around and look after. We've got this school that's right down the road. We'll get you hooked into that. And it was all things thinking about not just me, but they thought about the family and your wife and making them happy. Yeah. And it was so smart. It's often overlooked by a lot of clubs. How important that sort of stuff can be.
Absolutely.
In addition to the financial bucks.
Well, there they are. They're very important people. They're the partner, that's for sure. Otherwise, you don't succeed at anything without them. And it's as simple as that, really.
Mate, your name on a court. You were the first basketballer to have a court named after a player. The Brett Maher Court, and there are been some humorous incidences across it. Julius Hodge comes to mind.
It's been stamped on a couple of times.
For Melbourne at the time, yes, for those that don't know, ran out and stomped on the name and then slid his backside across it, which didn't excite the crowd. It's probably the loudest I'd heard them other than finals. And can you remember being told that was going to happen? What was that moment like?
I do recall, I remember Paul Bauer saying, in a meeting that this is what's going to happen, and it was quite emotional. I knew it was a big move. The only other one at the time that he knew of and that I knew of was Red Auerbach at Boston, had the court named after him. So now it's a little bit more commonplace and you see it around a fair bit, but at the time very rare and huge to have that. Referred to as the Brett Maher Court, or I don't know if they're allowed to call it that now at the moment under the current ownership.
Still there, it's still there.
The name's still on there, and it is a huge honour.
So you go from a huge honour, mate, to a prickly time, and you kind of touched on it. We don't want to labour on it. A lot of hurt in that for you to walk away from the club with things that were happening, and then just sit now and wait for the moment where you go, okay, that's clear air now. I'm happy to come back.
It was just, I just wasn't happy with the way things were being handled. Like coaches get sacked every day of the week, but it just wasn't handled well with Scott. It wasn't just that, there was another 5 or 6 issues in the background with some of the younger guys and people around the team, the way they were being treated. And for me, it just struck a chord for the club that I love. So I just felt like I had to step away just for a little bit, but I was still kind of have been watching all the games and watched from afar and love the club. And I think the team that they've put together, although I can imagine it's cost them a lot of money.
Astronomical.
But I really like the look of it. I think if it can be coached well and they can put it together, they're going to be right up around the mark. I think they're definitely a top 4 team. Whether they can beat a Melbourne United, that'll be interesting. I think they're looking pretty tough.
Yeah, I think the criticism that was thrown a lot at them, you're not spending enough money to get the team together. And I think Grant Kelly, in fairness, was spending quite a lot of money to put the team together. They would be clear, I think it would be fair to say they'd be $1 million more than any other team right now. So I think he's given everything he can to get them to win a championship.
That much?
Yeah. Oh, and some, I reckon.
Okay.
And some.
Wow.
So I think now the pressure's on to succeed with that, or there's going to be, why hasn't that happened?
Yeah, well, they've definitely got talent. I think especially at the offensive end, they've got a few liabilities defensively, but when you got Bryce Cotton in your team, you're a chance right from the start. He's a phenomenal player. I love watching him, and that's I want to get back and watch some of the games live just to see him play more than anything. And then
a lot of other people do. That's the other thing, Brett, that you say that. I said to Phil, I wasn't a big basketball man growing up, but I used to watch it just because of him. I'd watch it to watch him play.
Yeah.
And I think there's a similar pattern happening now with Bryce Cotton.
Yeah.
It's bringing a lot of people back to the court, back to Brett Maher Court. Yep. But it is bringing a lot of people in just to see him.
Yeah, and even when you have played as much as we have and seen as many games, you go, I don't know if I go to a game, but there's not many players you would pay to go and watch.
Yeah.
But for me, he's definitely one of them. And I think he'll go down as the best ever at the end of his career. He's already in that conversation with Drewy and Leroy Loggins and guys like that. I think he'll eclipse them by the end.
I liked him. I didn't pay to go and watch him.
Still free ticket.
Bash, you haven't paid to go to any of it.
No, that's right. nor I should. But you were very watchable, as was Brett Maher.
Oh, no doubt.
You were similar. People would go, hang on, I'll flick the Sixers on here because I want to watch this play. Mark Davis, another one I used to enjoy.
Well, the other part
watching.
is the league dine on that as well. So not only do they go to watch Marzio, or they come in to watch Bryce play, the teams interstate sell off that. So people come to watch those guys play in their state as well. So, it was one of the great things in Marzio's time at Adelaide. We were the most watched team on the road.
There you go.
So people used to come to watch him play and other people play.
Yeah.
So I think that's the ultimate compliment when you're drawing crowds away from home.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you touched on this. He'll be in the conversation about the best players to have played in the NBL. You've played in the Australian team. I'm interested in who you think were the best couple of guys that you played with in your journey, through the 3 Olympics and the World Cup.
With the Australian team?
With the Australian team.
Yeah. One player that or 2 players that I really loved playing with was Ricky Grace. Was one of them. I really rated him. I thought early in his career he didn't have a real good 3, but he developed that. And we played, when we went away, we played a lot because we weren't getting as much court time, just one-on-one after training sessions. And wow, he was unbelievable. And I just put him on another echelon for me. He was sensational, and I think he got very much underutilised in that 2000 team. He should have been playing major minutes. He was by far our best point guard there. And I really like playing with Darryl McDonald when you're coaching, and just to see someone with his vision and the style of play, how loose he was. I was a bit more of a rigid player, but he was so loose, and just learning off players like that was really fun. But I got to play with so many good kind of point guards and off guards. Playing with Drewy's always good because he gets to the right spots and he's going to shoot it, so you get a few assists.
Yeah, and he shoots a high percentage.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm interested because I always have this discussion, and Drewy's always in as he should be. Andrew Gaze always should be in the conversation. People said, okay, who's your first pick? So if I said to you, you can pick any of the players that you played with along the journey, and you're the coach, you get first pick on any Australian player you like. Who's your first pick?
It's
a tough one, isn't it?
It is, because you want to pick a player that'll change it. And
well, I'll tell you mine.
Yeah.
See, and I'm not telling you to influence you, but where I am with it, I picked Luke Longley.
Oh, well, I was going to mention him because, but I only played with him in the 2000 Olympics.
Yes.
And we completely underutilised him.
Yeah.
Because we were used to playing with John Dodge, Ray Borner, guys that couldn't score, weren't the best passers. John Dodge was reasonably good, but we just weren't throwing the ball into him enough to really utilise him. And he was offering to pay us $50 every time we we threw it into him, just so he'd get touches. We just totally didn't. But he would have been, if we'd utilised him, so much better for us.
Yeah. The reason I pick him is because at training when he first came back, he just changed the whole training. He just owned the keyway. You couldn't, guys just wouldn't go in there. And, he's such a great passer in his vision. It just gave us a final presence, And Brad Key, just in the same group with him, gave us that. But I think if you're going to start your team, he's the one. Not that I wouldn't argue against Grace or DMAT. There's a case for all of them if you're picking. But he or Andrew Gaze, he's the one that still today stands out. If you go, even now, you could argue a Bogut, you could argue... I think just Luke was the ultimate team guy and the guy that just made everyone better. So
and I only got Bogut right at the very start of his career as well. He was 19 and our starting centre, but he was under huge pressure at that Olympics in 04 and probably had a little bit of a meltdown partway through, but played still very well for a 19-year-old. And went on to have a pretty fair career after that.
Yeah.
But, I would have liked to have played with him probably at the next one where he developed another 4 years in the NBA.
What about this young bloke that I saw the other day that would win the game from half court? Giddy.
Not bad.
Now, we say not bad, but they rate him. They rave about him now.
he's unique.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't look much to me. Like, he doesn't look huge or quick, or he doesn't look it. But boy, he's got a presence. Very deceptive. But
he's a stat accumulator. He at the end of the game, you look and he's got triple-double and just accumulates stats. But I think his biggest strength is he reads the game very well.
Yeah,
and he's got length enough, 6'7" long, to be able to get passes where a lot of other people probably can't. And his vision is very good. And his dad, Warwick, was a great passer for Melbourne Tigers, a really good passer, and probably gave Andrew half his points, I would say. He was in the feeder position in their offence and just hit Andrew on the back door. But, he's special. And I was speaking to some people yesterday about the Australian team coming through. And we've always had guys in the NBA, but in... 9, 10, 11, 12 on the end of the bench.
Yeah. And
we're starting now to get a few players that are playing major minutes and have been very impactful in the NBA. Yeah. There's him and both the Joshes, Josh Green and Josh, the Great Barrier Thief. We've got some really good young guards coming through. Yeah. Probably still lacking in depth in the bigs. You got Landale and Duop Reith and that, but there's not quite as much in the bigs. But the guards it's going to be interesting to see who they pick.
They are watched a lot, though. The Boomers are watched. A lot of people want to see the Boomers do well. And I'm not talking basketball people here. I'm talking other sports people. I'm one who like to follow the Boomers when they go, I like to see the Boomers play. Yeah. Because we're always competitive. We're always around the mark, or then we have to come and fight the big boys, play a dream team. And they're worth watching, I think, the Boomers. Do you think we're better now than, say, the past, 10, 15 years?
I think we've always batted above our average of where we should be. When the guys won the bronze medal, I think it was spectacular. And for everyone that had played before that, I think it meant a lot because we'd got to fourth quite a few times.
Exactly.
And just hadn't been able to get over that hump. To be able to get over that hump and win a medal was, I think, a big, big moment. Yeah. But the talent in every other team in the 12 teams that go to Olympics in Europe, if you look at that and compare, we're still not as good as virtually any of those teams. Yeah. But we play above ourselves and still are able to get decent positions. And as you said, we're always in with a fighting chance.
Yeah. I enjoy watching them.
I mean, I know you've got a lot to do. Save lives. He's a fireman. A book writer. Dad,
that's right. Husband.
Fireman. Mate, if you had to give advice to a young kid today, a 14-year-old kid, on how to achieve what you've achieved and how to get there, what piece of advice would you pass on?
I just did an individual with a 14-year-old kid the other day.
Oh, so being coached by you. Okay.
And I don't do individuals. It was a favour for a friend. And my biggest advice is that when you're training, you only get so many trainings a week or whatever. If you go out and do it half-assed, there's going to be no translation across the games. When you go out and you're shooting, you're working on your skills, you have to work at 100% and put yourself under time pressure, scoring pressure in all your drills so that you can get better and reach kind of those elite standards and know what those standards are so you can try and achieve them. And like you see so many kids hitting 4 out of 10, 5 out of 10. If you want to get to the 36s, you have to be hitting 8s, 9s, 10s out of 10s.
Yeah.
And you got to know what you want to be aiming for and how to get there. And it's only... I used to watch other guys shoot around, even at 6s, and you look down the other end at some of the young guys. They're going through at 50%, and you're like, it's not going to translate into the game. You've got to be pushing yourself.
Yeah.
Take yourself out of the comfort zone, and you'll get there. And I think that's the biggest thing.
Mate, one more, then I'll promise to let you go. The book we've talked about, Jack Gibson, when's it out?
Early December, it'll be out at all your Amazons and hopefully at all the good bookstores as well.
All good bookstores, for sure.
Last question, promise. Will you get a Jack Gibson book if you attend the Mar Ninnis basketball camps?
I did speak to Scott about that, and
Scotty doesn't want to buy it in to give away.
I don't know. We'll see. But
He'd do it for a cut. He'd do it for a cut. If there was a little bit in there for Scotty,
maybe if there's a little cut, he
might
might get it
a
over
little bit
the
of
line.
incentive.
You're both kidding yourself with the word little. If there's a lot.
But no, we got the camps every holiday, so we might be able to sneak it into the ticket price.
Brett Maher, our special guest.
And we should also, well, before we go, mate, we should also thank Gary Thompson from...
Big Gaz.
Yeah, from Garron. He's a former basketball man. One of the reasons why
we... He was a good player too.
Very good player. One of the reasons why we came down was because he would know you and Brett. So thanks, Gary, for use of your boardroom.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
At Garron. He's a great guy.
Good man.
As are you, Brett. Thanks for coming in, mate. Really appreciate
Baz.
it.
Thank you, Phil.
Good on you, Baz. Good on you, Brett. Good on everyone.
Now, folks.
No, get out, mate. You want to be on all the time. Like, share, subscribe. That really helps us out. Don't worry about what Baz says. Like, share, subscribe.